Good evening, friends of the night. Welcome back to the Quiet Hour, your quiet companion when the world finally slows down enough to think clearly. I'm here with you, whether you're trying to quiet your mind for sleep, keeping the road company through dark miles, or just sitting with your thoughts in the stillness. If you're joining us for the first time, tonight, welcome. This is where we share stories that ask us to look at ourselves honestly. Sometimes that's uncomfortable, but it's always worthwhile. If tonight's story speaks to you, I hope you'll subscribe and walk this journey with us. Tonight, I want to tell you about a young man and the inheritance he threw away. It's a story about shortcuts, about regret, and ultimately, about what we do when we realize we've made a terrible mistake. Picture a small apartment after a funeral. A young man in his early 20s, let's call him David, sits surrounded by boxes. His father has just passed away, and David has inherited the only things his working-class parents had to leave: a modest sum of money and a collection of old books. Before he died, David's father held his hand and said, "Son, these books are worth more than I can explain. Read them. Learn from them. They can change your life if you let them." He pressed an envelope into David's palm. "This money will get you started, but the books are the real treasure." David nodded, but inside, he was disappointed. His friends had inherited cars, stocks, down payments on houses. He got some cash and dusty old books about philosophy, success principles, personal development, topics that seemed irrelevant to his immediate problems. Within months, the money was gone. David faced a choice: find work or find another way. The books sat on his shelf, untouched. One day, a friend stopped by, saw the books, and offered to buy them. Not because he wanted them, but because he felt sorry for David. $50 for the lot? His friend offered. David looked at those books, remembered his father's words, felt a pang of guilt. But $50 would buy groceries for a couple weeks. He sold them. Time passed. David took whatever work he could find. Manual labor, long hours, barely scraping by. Then one day, he ran into that same friend. But something was different. The friend looked confident, successful. He was driving a nice car, talking about his new business venture. Over coffee, David couldn't help but ask, "What changed for you, man? Last time I saw you, you were struggling just like me." His friend smiled, almost embarrassed. "Honestly, those books you sold me, I bought them just to help you out. They sat in my closet for months. Then one night, I couldn't sleep, grabbed one randomly and started reading." He leaned forward. "David, those books changed everything. The principles, the insights about mindset, about taking action. I started applying what I read, and it worked. My whole life turned around." David felt something cold settle in his stomach. But here's the thing, his friend continued. "Hidden in one of the books was a handwritten note from your father. Instructions for how to actually implement what you learned. It was like having a mentor guiding you through each step." He paused. "You never read them, did you?" David shook his head, unable to speak. "Your father left you more than books," his friend said softly. "He left you a roadmap, and I followed it instead of you." That night, David couldn't sleep. He thought about every choice he'd made since his father died, the shortcuts he'd taken, the wisdom he'd dismissed as irrelevant, the treasure he'd sold for $50 because he was too impatient to see its value. The next morning, he knocked on his friend's door. "Can I borrow those books, please? I need to start over. I need to do what my father wanted me to do." His friend didn't hesitate. "They were always meant for you. Come on in. Let's start reading together." "Now, friends, I need to ask you something. What books have you sold? I don't mean literal books. I mean the wisdom you've dismissed, the advice you've ignored, the harder path you've avoided, because it seemed easier to take a shortcut. Maybe it was a parent's guidance that seemed old-fashioned. Maybe it was your own gut instinct that you ignored because everyone else was doing something different. Maybe it was a dream you abandoned because it required patience you didn't think you had." Here's what I love about this story. It doesn't end with regret. It ends with David asking for a second chance and getting it. Yes, he made a mistake. Yes, he wasted time. Yes, Someone else benefited from his inheritance while he struggled. But the moment he was ready to learn, the door opened. His friend could have said no, could have kept that advantage for himself, but he didn't. Because growth isn't a competition, it's an invitation. If you're lying there tonight thinking about choices you regret, paths you didn't take, wisdom you ignored, this is your reminder that it's not too late. The books might be on someone else's shelf right now, but you can still ask to read them. The lesson might have passed you by once, but it comes around again if you're finally ready to learn it. Don't let pride or shame keep you from going back for what you need. David had to swallow his ego to ask for those books back. But that humility, that willingness to admit he'd been wrong, that's what finally put him on the right path. Your father, your mother, your mentor, your younger self, they left you books, metaphorical ones, lessons, values, dreams, truths. Some of you sold them for temporary comfort. Some are still sitting on your shelf, unread. It's not too late to open them. That's our reflection for tonight here on the Quiet Hour. What books did you sell? And are you ready to ask for them back? Share your thoughts below. And if you're new here, subscribe so we can keep having these honest conversations. Until tomorrow night, remember, regret is only permanent if you let it be. Every day is a chance to finally read what you were meant to learn. Sleep well, drive safely, and maybe tomorrow ask for your books back, my friends.